Alright, so I have not looked at this trailer in depth so far. I watched it twice very quickly earlier today, and I did make a couple of notes, two things in particular that I want to talk about, but right now I just want to watch this trailer with you.
We're still here at the scene of this terrible disaster, caused by a massive tornado which swept through sectors 0, 1, and 2. Amidst the wreckage of the expressway, search and rescue operations are already in progress.
Wow. Just look at it all. It's so green. Even after everything we've done to it, it's still going strong.
It may look that way, but in reality, it's barely hanging on.
I was wondering, what's Cloud been doing these past 5 years? Where's he been?
And you're asking me this?
This is gonna sound crazy, but as far as I know, Cloud was never in Nibelheim 5 years ago.
The life stream. It is the very essence of our star. The blood coursing through its planetary veins.
According to Hojo, they're connected to Sephiroth. Shadows of the Man, I believe he called them.
Sephiroth was in Midgar. We fought him. Whatever happened, he's alive.
But why come back now? After 5 years, doing who knows what?
Well now, think we woke it up.
Angered it, more like.
Feast your eyes on the Turk's latest and greatest, Elena.
She may be new, but she's still a Turk.
Keep her away from me!
They say she's a monster, that she can peer inside you, into the very depths of your soul, that she can become those you hate, those you fear, those you love.
Green. Yeah.
You murdered my dad! You burned my village!
You know that I killed her. So, who is she?
God damn. And I could just end the stream right here and that would be good enough, I reckon. So I definitely want to take a look at this in greater detail because I watched this earlier today on my little tablet and this is the first time I'm looking at it on my big screen and I mean, firstly, this game looks phenomenal. It just does. But you know what? Remake was my favorite game of 2020 by a wide margin, and that game looks phenomenal as well, so it's not really that unusual. Anyway, I think what I'll do is I'll just turn the volume way down. This to me is clearly a CG based on the character models, not even just a smoke here. I mean, so soldiers wheeling out Barret and Tifa. There's Red 13. Wonder if he's been taken to the same place. Probably not. And then we see Aerith. And at the end here, you see a black flower, which is basically Sephiroth's symbol. Can't quite make out the background there. So I've been thinking about this all damn day. And I want to throw a completely crackpot theory out there. These four characters here, obviously, they're the characters that we controlled in Remake and Integrate, and I'm going to ask this question, and it's going to sound bizarre, but let me clarify it. Are these 4 characters here that we see, that is Barrett, Tifa, and then Red 13, although we can't control him, and Aerith, are these the 4 characters that we were controlling at the end of Chapter 18 in Remake? You could say, yeah, of course they were, you fucking moron. We were controlling them. What are you getting at? What I'm trying to get at is, if there are multiple timelines involved, then there are presumably multiple copies of the characters involved. And I'm wondering if those 4 characters we were controlling directly have basically bit the bullet and we're looking at their dead corpses right now. Because we went into this weird place called the Singularity, and we saw the place get absolutely fucked up by a tornado. And it was mentioned that the tornado managed to screw up sectors 0, 1, and 2, and these 4 characters were there. They were in that physical space, in that singularity, while that tornado was wreaking havoc. I don't think it's any coincidence either that the Singularity track, I don't remember what it's called, it's one of the Arbiter of Fate tracks, is actually playing in the background here. You get to this weird ass ending of Remake, and you get this music that starts playing on the field map and during the first phase of the battle, but you also hear the music here.
Terrible disaster caused by a massive tornado which swept through sectors 0, 1,
That
and
is the
2.
final boss music.
Amidst the wreckage of the expressway.
So these 4 came in, they did battle with the final boss, and now they're dead. Why do I think this? Well, I have a simple question to that. We're seeing 4 characters here. We see Barrett, we see Tifa, we see Aerith, and we see Red 13. Where is Cloud? The answer to that is very simple. When we were going through that battle in Chapter 18, we finished the battle, and then Cloud disappeared. He GTFO'd and went into that weird place beyond time and space with Sephiroth. He wasn't there. So the end of Chapter 18, is it possible that all 5 people went into the Singularity, fought Sephiroth, fought the Whispers before that? There was that weird livestream place in between, wasn't there? They fought the Whispers, and then something weird happened. They found themselves in this, I think it's confirmed to be the live stream from one of the Ultimanias, but what happened then is they fought Sephiroth, Cloud then disappeared, the 4 remain behind, and what I'm querying is, as a result of timeline shenanigans or whatever, are we looking at their 4 corpses right now? Specifically the 4 that we played as, other than Red 13, because, you know, Red 13 is not playable.
Operations are already in progress.
Yeah, so there's no question that Square Enix has no qualms about killing Aerith, it seems. We've already seen it happen. Good stuff. Unknown Journey continues. That is a direct continuation of what we see from the end of Remake. I don't know what they're opening here. Only 5, so we haven't run into Yuffie yet. We do run into Yuffie later on. It doesn't look like it's in calm. It looks way too, what's the word I'm looking for? It looks way too grotty to be calm, like the inside of the town or whatever. And if you accept that this is the shot that comes immediately after it, then possibly it's them emerging from the Mithril mines, perhaps. But I also think that doesn't make a lot of sense either, because by this point, they've journeyed across country to calm. If they're following the original OG7, they've gone into the, the Chocobo farm. They have gone into the Mithril mines, and maybe this is them coming out of the Mithril mines on their way to Junon.
Wow. Just look at it all.
I don't recognize the geography of this shot. Yeah, this I'm struggling. We have a lighthouse, we have windmills. This looks like all new original content.
After everything we've done to it.
Yeah, so the camera was down here before. It's on the coast. Yeah, I've got no clue where this is.
But in reality, it's barely hanging on.
So Aerith said,
It's so green, even after everything we've done to it.
it's so green even after everything we've done to it. I mean, what have we done to it, really, other than, you know, destroying the physical manifestation of destiny or whatever? I don't quite get that line either. There's a lot of things in this trailer I don't get.
It's still going strong.
It may look that way, but in reality, it's barely hanging on.
And if Red 13 knows that, then Aerith should really know that as well. But yeah, this has got to be super early on. I'm going to say it's after we get out of the Mithril mines, and get onto the, I'll call it the other side of the eastern continent. All right, we're in the open world. We're a little bit further along. I say open world, but honestly, I see a corridor here. I see walls. I see a corridor. I see a path. And I see that for most things here, to be perfectly blunt. I mean, yes, the zones look larger. Maybe I'll call it Scrap Boulevard-like. And I would love to see that. But honestly, if they are going with a chapter-based structure for the game, then I think this is the best possible compromise.
I was wondering,
Animals.
what's Cloud been doing these past 5 years?
What's Cloud been doing these past 5 years? He hasn't said anything to Tifa about it, and she's asking this question of Aerith. This shot here, I actually read a comment somewhere that this might be the Ancient Forest because it's just Cloud and Aerith, and they're making their way through a mist-filled area. It's very different from where we just were.
Where's he been?
And you're asking me this?
I mean, we know where he's been if you've played Crisis Core.
This is gonna sound crazy.
Yep, we'll hear that in a sec. So I didn't recognize this at first, but this looks like the Chocobo farm. And you can see Red 13 is chilling outside, along with Aerith in the background there. Don't see Barret or Tifa.
This is gonna sound crazy, but as far as I know, Cloud was never in Nibelheim 5 years ago.
That is a massive swerve. So it's entirely possible that in the original game, Tifa had this conversation with Aerith and the player wasn't aware of that. However, that information is not revealed to the player until much, much later in the game. I would say halfway through Disc 2. And yeah, you could say Rebirth is the second game in the series, but we're not even past the 1/3 of Disc 1 at this point. I sort of understand now why, or maybe this is justification for them saying it's okay to play Crisis Core now, because they're revealing this information very, very early, that Cloud wasn't at Nibelheim. That is a massive change, and they must be saying this relatively early on. Like maybe before the Mithril Mines, maybe before Junon, who knows, but it wouldn't surprise me if that particular conversation is happening maybe even after the Calm flashback. Who knows?
This is gonna sound crazy, but as far as I know,
This shot would have so much more impact if we weren't looking at the corridor. Sprint, dismount, sense, scour. There's clearly some optional stuff going on here. Sense and scour. I can only think of two things we could do with that. Firstly, looking for treasure, or secondly, maybe hunting for enemies, perhaps. But look up here. We've got the main objective marker, 1.2 kilometers away, something that's a discovery, 485, 649. So there are definitely large zones involved. I think we can absolutely confirm that. But I still see a corridor here. I just wish they'd chosen a larger zone to demonstrate this.
Cloud was never in Nibelheim 5 years ago.
Also, there's totally 4 of them here. And presumably Red 13 is just running along. So Yuffie hasn't joined the party yet, or if she has, maybe she's hiding in the background somewhere. But yeah, 4 people here. That sort of implies that we're not running around with a 3-person party. And what I mean by that is in the OG, you had to select your 3 party members. Maybe you're not going to get a choice here. Maybe it's just going to be however the game is coded. In this case, it's you've got 4 party members here. Therefore, you've got 4 party members and you cannot change that perhaps. Also, I'm going to say I don't like the color scheme down here. I read somewhere that maybe that's based on the color of the PS5, but I think that's drawing a long bow. Honestly, something I would love to see, and we won't see it, and that's totally fine because I never used it back in the day, is I would love to see an option in the menu where you can change these colors. You know, old school Final Fantasy style, where you could change the window colors, but I don't think we'll get that.
The life stream. It is the very essence of...
We can't see Bugenhagen's face, but just looking at that looks incredible. I don't remember why exactly we come here. I mean, we definitely have to pass through here to get to the other side of the, I'll call it the central continent, but I don't recall why we even come into his place to learn about the live stream and any of the other weird stuff he's got. But man, this looks incredible.
our star. The blood coursing through its planetary veins.
I assume this is the Mithril Mines. It may be a bit later in the game. I'll be honest, my knowledge of Final Fantasy VII Beyond Midgar is not brilliant, but I assume just looking at this place, it's Mithril Mines. Also, I have no idea what music is playing in the background. It sounds new.
According to Hojo, they're connected to Sephiroth. Shadows of the Man, I believe he called them.
Who the hell is talking here? I have to imagine it's someone talking to Cloud or Aerith or the party in general. But, I mean, there's only two people I can think of who would know about Hojo and Sephiroth.
According to Hojo, they're connected to Sephiroth.
There's only two people I can think of. The first is Reeve, and honestly, that doesn't sound like Reeve's voice from the remake. If you go back and listen to him pleading for President Shinra to reconsider his decision to drop the plate, it doesn't sound like him whatsoever. That only leaves one other possibility, in my opinion, and that is a little person by the name of Vincent Valentine, who we don't see in this trailer, and honestly, I don't really want to see him before the game comes out, because I'd like to be surprised.
Shadows of...
Not sure where this is, I'm just going to say it's a generic outdoors location. It may well be in the same open zone because we've got objectives 1.6 and 1.3 kilometers away in different directions. So again, it's a fairly large zone by the looks of it. I want to say it's on the way to Junon or maybe passing by Fort Condor, but we don't see anything of Fort Condor in here. And look at this, on the left-hand side, we have R1, cool Chocobo. Damn, okay. So we've got a way of traversing these zones a bit more quickly at any time. And we don't need to get into combat and feed them greens, presumably. Other than maybe doing it once just to get the ability, and then we can do it at call.
Sephiroth was in Midgar. We fought him. Whatever happened, he's alive.
I genuinely question whether he is referring to the events at the end of Remake or something else. This here is clearly inside the hotel room at Calm.
But why come back now?
There's nothing to say that Tifa's response there is in direct response to Cloud's question. That could just be clever editing. She says, but why come back now? That may be in response to something else, or there may be a long pregnant pause somewhere.
After 5 years, doing who knows what?
Saying doing who knows what, I assume that she is talking about Cloud here, not Sephiroth. That could be a very intentional misdirect. And also this frigging glitch. I really don't know what the purpose of that is. Okay, Northern Cracer bullshit.
Well, now.
So, immediate thought on this is that maybe this is actually the Northern Cracer. But if they're showing us something that late, that's actually astonishing. This could be the Mithril Mines again.
According to Hojo, they're connected to Sephiroth.
It could be, but the structures look very different. It could be. So this could be taking place in the Mithril Mines, which is just after the Chocobo Farm and the Midgar Zolom, if they're keeping that in.
Think we woke it up.
Angered it, more like.
Don't recognise that enemy at all, but I do find it curious that we've only got Red 13 and Barrows here. The other three party members are nowhere to be seen. Now, regarding UI, Red 13 is playable. Good stuff, game. Good stuff. His triangle is Vengeance mode, which I assume is going to be similar to Cloud's Punisher and Operator, and we can toggle between the two. I haven't seen what the other one is. We'll see if we can find that. The UI on the right here looks identical, except for these 5 things here. I did hear speculation earlier today that they might be dual and triple text, similar to what you had in Chrono Trigger, but that you just build them up over time and then you can use them. And honestly, I think that's probably right on the money because I didn't see anything just watching the trailer right now as to what else they could be. I'm also not sure what this red thing is over here. It kind of reminds me of the summon gauge on the right-hand side there, but that would be a very, it'd be a very strange place to put it. Okay, he's using an ability, but unfortunately the UI is turned off up here, so we can't see what he's actually casting, but it's some sort of spin attack. Elena. Now, is it me, or is that face Tifa?
On the Turk's latest and greatest. Elena.
That is Tifa's face, 1,000,000%. I mean, the eyes, I'll say the eyes are there, I reckon. The rest of the body, not so much, but I reckon that is Tifa's face for sure. Don't know if that's, I hesitate to use the word lazy really, but I do wonder if this is playing out into the whole who is Tifa thing.
She may be new, but she's still a Turk.
So no idea where this battle is taking place, in some kind of ruined building. And yeah, she's kicking the ass out of the party right now. On the right hand side there, we see that not all of these pips are filled in. Players in control of Cloud. Cloud still has Punisher and Operator by the looks of it. Yes, slams into Tifa like that. Delivers a kick to Aerith. Don't recognize that attack. That one's new. Okay, so this is new. We're in control of Aerith. Her ability has changed. It used to be Tempest. It is now called Ward Shift. God knows what that does. I don't think we're going to find out until the game is in our hands. All of the pips are now drained. Also, the music we're listening to in the background is a remix of the Valkyrie. That is an underrated track if there ever was one. So it looks like we might still actually be in the Mithril Mines here, because look at the background there. That looks like a tunnel of some sort. Yeah, look at this. There's mining equipment around here. Not heavy equipment, but there's like a wheelbarrow over there. Carts. There was also like an upshot, a shot looking up around. Yeah, look at this. We're clearly underground. This is the Mithril Mines. This is where we meet Elena in the Mithril Mines. There was nothing in the original, like there was no fight in there, but this is where we met Elena in the OG. So we are having a fight with her here. And this shot here, I actually thought that might have been a Wu-Tai thing, but no. That just might be, I don't know what that is. Okay, so in control of Cloud, Aerith and Red 13 are waiting patiently. Again, I see a corridor here. I'm not whinging, I swear, I just see a corridor. It's a very beautiful looking corridor though. So this is something that absolutely gets me hyped. There were definitely ways of juggling enemies in FF7 Remake, and they mostly involved like doing a parry trip on someone and then using Tifa to cast a chi trap underneath them and juggling them in midair. I personally never did it, but I've seen it done. Yeah, so he's basically keeping these enemies juggled. We can't see what they are, and honestly, my FF7 knowledge isn't that great to be able to identify them, but he's basically keeping them juggled in Punisher mode, which is... Also, he's attacking much, much faster in Punisher this time. Man, look at the quality of this freaking YouTube upload. Damn, Square. Keyframe that shit. Fucking Junon. That Mako cannon. Does anyone have a cigarette? You can also see an airship up there, which may or may not be the Highwind. You can see its blades rotating here. Yeah, we're directly outside Junon. God, that looks incredible. Cloud and Red 13, God knows where the others are. Red 13's here. Vengeance mode is not switched on, so it's not like Cloud, where it's apparently a toggle between Operator and Punisher. It looks like it's maybe just something that he can switch on at will. Red 13, Cloud and Barret outside Junon. Well, I assume this is outside Junon. And look at this. Red 13, Cloud and Barret are in combat. Is she participating, or is she AI controlled, or is she just taking a break? Who knows? It looks like she is sort of, I'll say, strafing in like a combat stance. So what does that mean? Does that mean that we can have more than 3 party members in combat at a time? Also, damn, that ability. So I need to just try and get the exact frame here. All right, there we go. Because yeah, it looks like that Aerith and Tifa are doing some sort of team-up attack, similar to how Yuffie and Sonon did team-up attacks in the DLC. Synergize attacks, or whatever they were called. Aerith has cast a dome of some sort, and Tifa's leaping forward. Whatever it is, it looks incredible. Not sure where this is. Maybe around Gongaga, maybe? But Yuffie and Red 13 are doing something in that pixelated mess. She's like doing a handstand on Red 13, sitting on his back, and then the two of them just fuck up this enemy below us, which just looks like a generic creature. It looks like Yuffie still has... This is the second thing I wanted to mention. Yuffie still has throw and attack. I assume at this point she's committed to an attack with Red 13 here, which means I don't fully understand what's going on. But on the bottom left here, it has changed to Retrieve and Ninjutsu. So she still has the same abilities that she had in the DLC, which is she can throw the shuriken and then cast magic. This is the thing that I wanted to talk about right here. This thing. So in the DLC, she had an ability called Elemental Ninjutsu, and that basically lets her change her ranged ninjutsu attacks to a certain elemental affinity. Fire, wind, ice, or what was the other one? Lightning. It looks like she still has that, and when I was playing through the DLC, I thought that the only reason she had that ninjutsu is simply because we're only in control of one character in the DLC. And basically, if we wanted to use all of the elemental spells or whatnot, we would have to waste 4 materia slots on that. And compare that to having a party of 3 members where you can spread them out. And for the DLC, in my opinion, it didn't really make a lot of sense to actually put all 4 elemental materias on Yuffie, and therefore the elemental ninjutsu was sort of like a crutch for that. It came, however, at the cost of making her ridiculously OP, in that she could spend 1 ATB bar to set the ninjutsu, and then she could just use that at will by throwing her shuriken. It's still here. I genuinely thought that this was going to get nerfed into the fucking ground. But no, it looks like it is actually still there, that elemental ninjutsu thing. So I do question whether this is Square's solution to ranged combat, or air combat rather, because it wasn't great in the original, and I hesitate to say it's not great now, because I mean, we've seen 2/5 of F all about the game, but I do wonder if Yuffie and Barret are still going to be our primary option for dealing with air threats. Aerith definitely has some utility, but nowhere near as good as Yuffie or Barret. Yep, so Cloud and Barret are also doing some sort of dual tech. I say dual tech because I think of Chrono Trigger. We're never getting a new Chrono Trigger game, but maybe this is good enough. Yep, so Cloud launches it. Barret ranges it from a distance. Yeah, fuck, look at this. They've learned so much from the DLC. These are absolutely dual techs. Maybe we'll see some triple techs as well. Chrono Cross doesn't count. Barret's not wearing his glasses. You need to put your glasses on, bro. So, I assume this is on the boat from Junon to Costa del Sol. Yuffie is in the party, so we've met up with her at this point already, and maybe she's having a flashback to the events of the end of Intermission where Sonon died. Not sure. But we've got Barret, Tifa, and Cloud facing off against Sephiroth in what I believe is the boat.
Say she's a monster, that she can peer inside you.
So similar to the fight that we had on level, I don't remember what level it was, of the Shinra building, Jenova has basically transformed the environment. So what we're looking at here is basically not reliable.
Into the very depths of your soul, that she can become those you hate, those you fear, those you love. Very depths.
I assume Sephiroth is just talking to Cloud here, trying to play with his mind. Those you hate, those you fear, those you love. So I assume the implication at the end of the trailer, perhaps, is that maybe Jenova is masquerading as Tifa, which is most likely bullshit, but who knows where Square Enix is going with this game. Hey, Cloud. So this is definitely something that stuck out to me on the remake. In Chapter 3, when you get grabbed by Mako, you see this cutscene of the Northern Crater, and you see someone called ? Saying reunion, reunion, and he definitely wasn't speaking with that voice. It was like a reunion, reunion. I can't do that voice, I won't try again. But I believe in the internal game's coding, it was marked as Sephiroth. Whereas this here is pretty much the same cutscene, except we see now that it is a completely different person.
You murdered my dad! You burned my village!
I have to question this. Whose point of view is this? Is this Tifa's retelling of the flashback? Because Cloud wasn't here, and a certain other individual wasn't here either, at this point, I believe. Also, look at that, casually stopping the bladed sword, his own sword, with his, not his bare hand, but a gloved hand. I don't know of any gloves that would actually prevent that thing from just slicing through it.
Do you know that I killed her?
Do you know that I killed her? I mean, from his perspective, yeah, that's true.
So, who is she?
So who is she? I think this is just Sephiroth just trying to fuck around with him. I really do. I do recall very, very early on as well that there were people saying, well, it would be too obvious to kill, that person who dies in Final Fantasy VII, so why not kill Tifa instead? Is that where they're going with this, perhaps? Who knows? I don't know. Either way, I'm very happy with what I've seen so far. And this. Early 2024 on 2 discs. I mean, firstly, they're just unnecessarily flexing with that because I own the Neo collection and that came on 2 discs as well. I mean, admittedly, it was one game on one disc and a whole different game on another disc. But yeah, if these are actually 100 gig discs that we're getting, oh boy. Early 2024, that was pretty much my original prediction when they showed off the first trailer. I happen to be from Australia, so if you change winter to summer, we were taught as kids that summer is from December to February, including those months. And seeing that made me immediately think, yep, okay, it's going to be early 2024. And my personal prediction back then was that it would come out in March 2024. Remake was originally scheduled to come out on either the 3rd or the 8th of March in 2020. I don't remember exactly what day it was, but they announced a 5-week delay and that pushed it to April 10, which pushed it out of that financial year into the next financial year. And it wasn't a huge deal, but it definitely was a deal. And I could see them trying to hit March for this. I really could. I think it would be great if it could come out earlier, but I don't think that's going to happen. I would be pleasantly surprised if we see this before March. But yeah, Square Enix, feel free to pleasantly surprise me. Yeah, I do have a playthrough of Intergrade on my channel. It is a very, very slow playthrough. It's probably not worth watching unless you are really, really bored. It's basically a playthrough where I try to find every little thing, where I try to find every little optional dialogue and all sorts of weird and wonderful crap. And I did see 1 or 2 new things along the way, and I had a hell of a time playing it. Really enjoyed it. It is still my game of the year for 2020, but man, I can't wait for this. I just cannot wait for this game to come out. At the moment, I only want to see 2 more things from Square Enix. 2 more and nothing else. 1, an exact release date. I mean, yes, that's good, but we need an exact release date at some points. The second thing that I want to see is I want to know exactly where this game is going to end, whether that is at the Northern Crater or getting captured and being thrown into the cells at Junon or somewhere else. And based on that, just before this game comes out, I want to do a stream of the original Final Fantasy VII. I mean, it's going to be the PS4 remaster or the ISO or whatever it is. Basically where I go over from Calm to wherever this game is going to end. Simply because I don't remember the events of Final Fantasy VII all that well outside of the Midgar chapter. I remember bits and pieces, like I remember events at the Gold Saucer and the prison underneath and a bit of Cosmo Canyon and Rocket Town, that heartbreaking moment where Sephiroth inserts Tabé into slot B. But apart from that, I don't really remember the exact specifics, like monsters, certain character encounters, things like that. And I do want to go back and refresh my memory before this game comes out. So yeah, all I want to see from now on is a release date and where the game is ending. I don't need to see anything else. I've seen enough here. I am happy. I'm rarely happy, but this shit makes me happy. I mean, this just looks incredible.
They say she's a monster, that she can peer inside you, into the very depths of your soul, that she can become those you hate, those you fear, those you love.
Green. Yeah.
You murdered my dad! You burned my village!
You know that I killed her. So, who is she?
I've seen enough. I'm sold.